the better and more accurate your data is, the better the output would be of the AI.
This is the advice I speak to and give to stakeholders, which is currently the learning curve isn't too steep. It's just throw yourself in there, immerse yourself and start playing with it.
Analysing what it's telling you, that critical thinking, that ability to question, is this really the right answer?
It's difficult to scale AI, understanding just how much we can achieve from it, but just how much we can also lose from it.
Hello, I'm Sue Daly, Director for Innovation and Technology at techUK, and I'm here today at FDM to talk all about AI. AI is an exciting technology that is on front page news. It's being discussed by businesses all the way around the country. It has the potential to revolutionise industries, drive economic growth, productivity, and help us all in our everyday lives. But what is it like to be working with AI in your career in technology right now, particularly if you're at the start of that career? I'm here with 3 amazing apprentices at FDM who are going to talk about how they're using AI in their roles right now, share their experiences, their lessons that they're learning already, and also to talk about what may be coming next. So looking forward to this conversation. So thank you for joining me. Really looking forward to this conversation all about AI. Perhaps as we start though, let's find out who you guys are. So let's do some introductions. Ibrahim, do you want to kick us off?
Hi there, my name's Ibrahim. I'm currently a degree apprentice at FDM, working as an IT consultant, a service desk analyst at a World Heritage site. I'm also studying for a BSc degree in Digital and Technology Solutions. So I work 4 days a week and I have 1 day a week for my university. My current role is a service desk analyst, so I resolve IT issues and ensure that our systems run seamlessly where cutting-edge technologies intersect with centuries-old heritage.
Yeah, fascinating. I can't wait to hear more about that, but brilliant to have you with us. Lawrence, introduce yourself. Great to have you here.
Thank you. It's lovely to be a part of this. Hi, I'm Lawrence, and I'm currently working as a consultant specialising in AI integration. I'd like to think of myself as a professional Swiss Army knife for all things technical, and I'd really say the art of my role is solving what feels impossible and driving innovative and efficient solutions for the clients that I work with.
I want to hear more about the Swiss Army knife later, and I'm sure we'll get to that, but great to have you, Lawrence. And then Saif, great to have you. Can you just introduce yourself and your role?
Hi, I'm Saif. I'm a recent graduate of the FDM Apprenticeship program. In the past year, I've been working in the retail sector. That includes a lot of different types of technology to the traditional technology. So although there's an emphasis in technology, it's having to understand the business needs in a different way. A lot of my day-to-day job includes working with data, particularly embedding Copilot into that. So I look forward to discussing that and giving some more insight as to how AI can shape our future.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear more about that as well. But before we get to AI, let's talk a little bit about the apprenticeships. So I know, Saif, you just graduated from that, which congratulations, which is great. How did you find out about apprenticeships? I'd love to hear a bit more about that and the program itself. So, Saif, how did you find out about the apprenticeship program?
Yeah, so I've always kind of been interested in technology, and I've seen that there's always another route to the traditional university route for education. And I looked into, obviously, the digital and technology solutions, and my specific pathway, the IT consultant pathway, it gave me the opportunity to look into networking, cybersecurity, all of which, again, is relevant to AI, specifically cybersecurity. So I think it was mainly through my interest in technology and wanting to be involved in an industry where I can make a difference. So taking the initiative to search myself, to look and see what opportunities are out there rather than going to university, seeing how I can apply my learning. And I came across the FDM Apprenticeship program. And I've not looked back since. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot, and everything I've learned has been relevant to this day. And I continue to use my university learning and apply that to my everyday work. So again, I look forward to telling you more about how some of that is embedded together. And
Yeah, great. Lawrence, is that a similar pathway to you, or what drew you to the apprenticeship?
Yes, so I think, again, very similar to what Saif's mentioned. I was researching online around IT apprenticeships, And I think this is where I stumbled across FDM's apprenticeship. I realised that FDM was a consultancy. I looked into the company. I saw that they have offices in the leading IT hubs of the world, and also the exposure to the various different clients across different industries. I saw an insane value there, and again, looked at applying and haven't looked back since.
Yeah. And Ibrahim, what drew you to the program?
Well, I think it was FDM's business model. Initially, when I joined, the business model was recruit, train, deploy, and I quite liked the prospect of getting to learn from industry professionals, like some really seasoned professionals. We went through some comprehensive training as well, which I really enjoyed. And although I had quite an interest in technology, my ability with different systems wasn't that great. Of course, coming out of A-levels, I was used to just the book stuff, the textbook stuff. So getting that hands-on experience is what I really wanted, but I also didn't want to miss out on the academic side of things. So once I stumbled across FDM, I knew it was a perfect opportunity for me.
Yeah, sounds a great fit for all three of you, and really inspiring to hear how you're talking about what you're learning already from the role, and you're really starting your career in technology in the right way, which is brilliant. So let's move on to the topic of the day. Let's talk about AI. And you all touched on it slightly in your introductions, but I want to delve a little bit deeper, if that's okay. Let's find out more. How is AI being used in your role and I suppose in the projects that you're working in and that you're involved in? So, what's been your experience so far? So, Ibrahim, you were talking about legacy and historical buildings and historical palaces. And tell me more about how you're using AI then in that role.
Well, although AI isn't quite a central part of my role, it works heavily in the back end. So we use systems such as Intune and Microsoft Defender to strengthen our cybersecurity systems. So what Intune does is it leverages machine learning to assess devices to see whether they have out-of-date software, any kind of malware, or if a user's attempted to log in from an unknown location or unknown IP address. From that, it then assigns devices risk scores. And so these risk scores are then paired with Microsoft Defender for endpoint. And Microsoft Defender for endpoint, what it does is it detects threats, any kind of threats, and it then is also paired with multi-factor authentication. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. It's just a second form of verification to show that you are who you say you are. So it can be an application, it can be a mobile number, but we tend to use an application. Mm-hmm. So what Intune does is, let's say, for example, there's a high-risk session. So let's say, for example, Lawrence tries to log in from a different country and we're not aware of it. It would then enforce multi-factor authentication. So it would keep prompting him to verify he is who he says he is, whilst also potentially even blocking the session. So that's where AI sort of ties into my daily role. We also have used Gen AI. Mm-hmm. We are transitioning to Windows 11 soon, which means it's a lot of upskilling for the team and just users generally. So with that has come, well, one of my colleagues has actually used Copilot Studio to create a custom bot that is, I like to say, a master when it comes to Windows 11. So it knows how to build devices, reset devices, and even troubleshoot devices. So we've been using this bot to upskill on Windows 11 where we can, and it's definitely been quite motivating just getting involved with it.
So we talk a lot at techUK about AI supporting people in their roles and being an addition to, what they're doing. And that's exactly, sounds like what you're using it to help you do.
Exactly, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the projects and the work that you're involved in, and cybersecurity, obviously, you mentioned as well. Could you tell us a little bit more about the projects and the way that you're using AI? And also, has it been a positive experience so far?
Yeah, certainly. Where I work, we have a heavy partnership with Microsoft, and we're having to have Copilot specifically integrated into that. And in my day-to-day job, I've had to use it a lot in Power Automate, and it's also a lot of data collection. So I've had to have Copilot there in, whether that's an Excel spreadsheet that needs to be put onto a Power BI data report, something as simple as that, I've had to kind of get that support from AI, just ask it a question. If I needed to summarize some type of data, or if it can spot a type of trend which would be useful in an insight that I can provide to the stakeholders who I'm providing a type of report to, that's been useful. But I think specifically with Power Automate, I've had the opportunity to upskill and learn and see how automation is such a crucial part of AI and such a crucial part of businesses moving forward. So what we need to do day to day is we need to organize for Microsoft a type of platform for people to be able to sign up to workshops. So we've had to create a Power Automate flow from scratch, integrate that with Power Apps and everything like that. And Copilot has been there throughout the process to help me with the different types of information that I need to input in there, whether that's looking into the trigger, looking into a flow to see if there's a way we can optimize a flow, if there's a flow that's dependent on another flow. So Copilot has been very crucial in that. But I think mainly as well with the data side of things. So obviously we're in an environment, with all businesses, data is going to be the main type of, it is going to be what you're judged upon based the success of a business. So we need to input that information to basically gather the data and provide that to our stakeholders. So to say, X amount of people attended this workshop, this is in demand. So people are wanting to upskill in Microsoft Teams. They're wanting to know what's happening with the latest updates on Teams. So even things like that, it's helping internally to upskill in IT and to leverage AI to improve what we deliver, but it's also having a positive impact on individuals around the business, because as a result of us leveraging AI and making these opportunities available to them, they've been able to take advantage of it and they've been able to learn, and they've also been interested in asking for Copilot and things like that. So I've had people come over to me and they help desk to say, how can I get licensed for Copilot? What can I do with Copilot? Can you give me like 10-minute sessions as to, I see this Copilot thing next to me in Excel. What can I ask it for it to be useful for me and my team? So I've had those occasions as well, which means that it's having a positive impact across, not just internally, but across the entire organization.
Yeah, it's great to see people are interested in it and are asking for it. I think that's always a good sign that the people really want to see how it can help them in their roles. And it sounds like you're helping them to understand that as well, which is fascinating. Lawrence, tell us more about you and the projects that you're working on, how you're using AI, and has it been a similar positive experience for you so far?
Definitely. So initially I was brought in to assist with the rollout of Copilot. I think that pushing the button or making a decision to invest in such a piece of kit is quite, a large decision for a business. So I played a prominent part in calculating the return of investment for Copilots, and one of the parts of that role was delivering workshops, scaling Copilot to a user base of 600 plus users, and then actually taking a step back and saying, we've got 600 users, and then looking at the data, running various surveys and other different bits of data collection to then use AI again to calculate semantic analysis on it. So then we can come back to the business and say, we've used Copilot with 600 plus users. This is the impact that it's had on processes in terms of efficiency across these various different teams. And that, again, was a very, very positive experience to see the implementation, the rollout, and then see the figures. AI is certainly driving optimizations and saving so much time.
And is that what really stands out for you in terms of the potential as we move forward as well? It's that efficiency, it's that being able to do more with the time that you guys have? Would you say that's the kind of potential going forward as well?
Yeah, definitely. Well, as I mentioned before with the MFA stuff and Intune, there's not a lot of manual intervention needed anymore. So that allows us to free up our time and use it elsewhere. So we can literally optimize our days to the best of our ability.
Yeah, absolutely. and do more of the helping colleagues and helping them to understand as well what AI is all about. It seems like you all have quite double roles in terms of using AI, but also helping people to understand what AI can do as well. So that sounds like that's something that you're really focusing on as well.
Yeah, I think once you've got a system in place, particularly with Power Automate, you can almost just let it do its thing. So once you build out the infrastructure of how things are going to work, how people are going to be supported in that specific situation, you just have to also you've got to calculate the risks, especially with users. I think that's one of the challenges of AI. We might touch upon that later, but it's specifically something that we need to be aware of. Even now, although we know what AI is, there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of risk, specifically with non-tech people, how they can, utilize AI, but also safeguard the interests of the company. So using it, but making sure that there's limitations and understanding what types of information they can access and can't access. So that's definitely something we need to consider as well.
Yeah, you read my mind. So if I was going to come to what challenges that you guys have faced in that kind of around the use of AI in your role and how you've overcome those challenges, but also, what maybe has been surprising in the use of AI in that role. So if I'll come back to you in terms of if there's anything that surprises you, but let's ask Lawrence and Ibrahim about challenges that you've faced in terms of the use of AI and how you've had to overcome those challenges so far. So Lawrence, is there anything that you found challenging?
I would say the most prominent challenge that I've had to deal with is change. I think that coming into a company as a consultant to roll out and scale an AI solution, you are going to come across people who aren't susceptible to change. And I think that dealing with those users and actually saying, it's not here to take your job, but likewise, it's not here to provide an early retirement. It's just, I think the main challenge is just communicating it properly, professionally across the business. There's a lot of people that hear AI and they become quite nervous and worried that it's coming in. What's it going to do? And it's just communicating that professionally.
Yeah, I get that completely. Although an early retirement does sound fun to me as well. Ibrahim, what have you found in terms of challenges and how have you been overcoming them?
Well, the way I see it is with AI, what you put into AI is what you get out of it. So the better and more accurate your data is, the better the output would be of the AI. So I think what I've noticed is a lot of people tend to over-rely on AI, which I think we shouldn't do, because without any kind of human oversight, it can go wrong. Like there's been times, for example, where I work, where AI doesn't fully understand the context of a situation. So when it comes to machine learning and with Intune, it may block a user's sign-in attempt when in reality, it might just be them sitting at home just trying to log in, but they might be using a VPN, for example. It doesn't take into account context a lot of the time. So I think it's important to of course embrace AI, but ensure that it's being fed accurate data. And it's definitely something that's crucial in terms of having clear communication, because where those situations have happened, we've had to explain to users that, look, this is in place for your security, for our security as a company. So I think AI paired with clear communication is what's needed.
Yeah. So as Abraham was saying, it's back to data, right? And that's key part of your role, is making sure that the data is right. I always think good data in, good data out. But just to that point of, and I was going to come back to you about what's been maybe surprising in terms of the use of AI when we talk about challenges. And actually, you've all touched on, it's not so much the technology, but it's the people aspect, it's the human aspect of AI that, Lawrence was talking about change, Ibrahim was talking about needing humans in the loop. Has that surprised you in terms of how much, you talking to colleagues about AI? Is it more of that human-to-human conversation that's been surprising rather than the technology itself?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, if you put the effort into learning AI, it's relatively, at this moment in time, you can grasp the concept of understanding AI. But the challenge as well is communicating the data that you receive from AI to non-technical people. That's probably what surprises me the most, is people are very keen on wanting to use AI without, again, what Ibrahim said, not really understanding the full functionality and capability of it. So you might want to apply AI to your job role, everyday job, but what's surprising to me is people not kind of understanding just how, obviously there's a lot of opportunities with AI, but there's a threat that even a lot of the biggest companies in the world don't even understand AI yet. So we need to understand exactly just how far we can push it. And I mean, we see a lot of stuff in the news about it being more of a threat than an opportunity, and I think people do need to take that into consideration as well. We don't know just how far AI can go. So yeah, that's probably the biggest surprise.
Yeah, it's definitely part of the conversation, isn't it? Yeah. When we look at it at techUK, it's kind of looking at it, what's the short-term opportunities, medium-term issues, but also the long-term, what we need to be thinking about in terms of how AI is going to change not just our working lives, but our whole lives, right? And how do we get that right for everybody? So I need to move on. Let's talk a little bit more, because I want to learn more about your training and your skills and your journey, as opposed to being on this couch with us today. And particularly what role tech skills has played in helping you to become an apprentice here at FDM. I wonder, Ibrahim, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, it's been a year and a couple months now. Upon our arrival, we went through comprehensive training. So we went through a pro skills week, learning the absolute basics on how to draft an email, do our CVs, all that kind of stuff, which really helped us, given the fact that, well, many of us hadn't worked the job before. After that, we were put into some really comprehensive training of tech ops. So we got to learn about Unix, Linux. We even learned about project management, Scrum, which really benefits me in my role today, as we do tend to use all these skills. I think, well, initially we worked internally. Well, Lawrence and I worked internally doing IT support here. And then, sorry, wait, should I say that about you? Because I'm kind of like saying the exact same thing that he's probably going to say.
Say what you need to say. We'll adjust.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, so initially, Lawrence and I worked internally until, of course, we were placed. And the way I saw it was sort of like a swimming pool. So we started off in the shallow end, like being introduced to all these concepts. And then eventually we built our way up to getting placed on client side, which was pushed in the deep end. And that wouldn't have been possible without the comprehensive training that we went through.
Yeah. Water wings coming to mind, those water wings.
Yeah.
So Lawrence, is that experience, is that what's made you called yourself a Swiss Army knife at the beginning? Is that what you've learned from the journey so far?
Certainly. I think a large part of being a consultant is a lot of the clients don't know what they need. They have a problem and they'll say, we need a solutions architect, but actually they might need a software engineer. So I think a prominent part of being a consultant is coming in, being immersed and backed with training in many different technologies. You can come in and do many different jobs. And I think, again, it's just training on the job and learning on the job. And that's where we've learned through our training. And I'd like to say that, again, tech skills has been fantastic, because the training that we went through was industry gold accredited. And that ensured that the skills that we're training in are relevant to the roles that are current. And again, likewise, with the degree that we're enrolled in at Northeastern University, that again is tech industry gold accredited, which ensures that the learning that we're going through with university is also paired with the workplace training, are both industry specific and relevant. And that's what's contributed to me being a Swiss Army knife when out on site working with our clients.
I love that analogy. And Stavro, your experience as well, how has tech skills helped you in the journey and being an apprentice here at FDM? Tell us a little bit more about your experience.
Similarly went through that training that these two have been through. So that involved Linux, Unix, everything like that. But I think beyond that, with the intranet of FDM, there's a lot of information within there that's, again, made with content from techUK. So there's all the types of things you can imagine that's relevant to someone who wants to start a career in IT and continue to pursue a career in IT. So within that, we've got SQL, Power BI, data analytics, there's coding, Java, everything like that. So all the information is out there for us. All the content is out there for us. And obviously, we're very lucky to have that there, because there are people who would pay that type of money to just go to university, and we get to experience that, as well as then getting the opportunity to go out on client side to apply all that knowledge that we've learned. So in tech skills, there's always been that platform that we've had. And as Lawrence mentioned, it's accredited. So it's legitimate training that's very relevant to the industry. So if you're going into a software engineering role, you know fully when you're going to get given training that's accredited, and that's very relevant to the job that you're going to do, and you can apply that knowledge. So I think it's been great with what we've been given by Tech.
So given what you've had so far, I'm just thinking particularly of our conversation about AI, like what more training, and I suppose it depends, right, on the role say that you might go to, but what further training do you think you will need as your role, as your career develops? Is that something you've given any thought to?
Yeah, I think particularly with cybersecurity. So like I mentioned previously, I think these two have mentioned as well, it's difficult to scale AI, understanding just how much we can achieve from it, but just how much we can also lose from it if we're not cautious with it. So I think around cybersecurity, things like access control, knowing how we can deploy it to members of staff who are skilled, who can practice tests and run all sorts of labs and things like that to gain the knowledge for the company and then enroll it out to the entire business. Because if we're going to be giving up permissions to everyone to do whatever they want with AI, it's going to cause more damage than good. So I think cybersecurity is definitely an important thing. I think that's why cybersecurity industry right at this moment in time is it's booming. Like there's a lot of jobs there. There's a lot of opportunities there. I've got a friend of mine who's working at PwC, and he's telling me all about how AI and they're using cybersecurity to learn more and grasp more information about how they can, control AI and things like that. So I think cybersecurity particularly is what we need to upskill more.
Yeah, Ibrahim, would you agree that given what you're already working on, I'm just thinking in terms of your view of the world and how the role that you're doing, what you're seeing, what do you think the training that you will need to move forward in your role might be? Is it cyber as well?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Saif there. He's spot on. I mean, cybersecurity, AI is, as I mentioned before, is reducing manual intervention. And the more, in terms of training, I think just getting hands-on with AI. So the more we use AI, the more sophisticated AI will become, and the more that we would learn about AI itself.
Different types of AI as well.
So whether that be machine learning, Gen AI, whatever it may be, I think it's just key we get hands-on with it and embrace it, whether that be in our day-to-day lives. I mean, if you look around everywhere, there's some form of AI. I'm a gamer, there's always, and I'm sure you guys play games too, there's always non-playable characters that are powered by AI. So AI is everywhere. So the more hands-on we get, the better it will be in our careers, because AI is evidently going to be a cornerstone for our growth.
So we're going to come on to AI in personal life in a minute. But before we do that, so I want to delve into that as well. Lawrence, can I just ask you in terms of, as you look to your career and your role developing, particularly in the AI-driven world, what is the training that you think you might need to continue in that professional development? Is it cyber, or is there another area you think training will be needed?
Definitely, I think cybersecurity plays a large part. But I think that, again, being a consultant, it's staying current. So it's ensuring that you have a well-rounded exposure to AI ethics, data hygiene and data quality. Again, the data you're feeding these AI, to prevent hallucination. It's to ensure accuracy when it comes to the responses. And I would also say just having exposure and using the software and utilizing the kit as it's progressing, because again, the longer you leave it, the larger a jump is going to be. So just using it. And this is the advice that I speak to and give to stakeholders, which is currently the learning curve isn't too steep. It's just throw yourself in there, immerse yourself and start playing with it, because soon, as it develops and becomes more integrated into workplaces, the learning curve will be steeper.
Yeah, I always say the same of be brave, give it a try, obviously in a safe environment, but start using AI to figure out what it means. Absolutely. So let's, Ibrahim, kind of set us up a little bit in terms of, I wanted to kind of talk about AI in outside of work, because as we all know, AI is becoming part of our everyday lives. As you were saying, Lawrence, it's being embedded in, it's being built into lots of different technology and softwares that we're already using. So I want to ask you guys a little bit about, do you notice that in terms of the role AI is playing outside of work? And also, do you have any AI-related projects or interests outside of work that you could talk a little bit about? Ibrahim, should we go to you first? You kind of started us off. What projects or what interests? Is it the gaming, or is there anything else you'd highlight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite an avid gamer, so I do like my games. But aside from that, I recently set up a home gym. So I've got like some equipment at home now. It's like a Smith machine Bowie gym kind of thing.
Yep.
And of course, that comes, I bought limited equipment at home. So when it comes to actually developing a plan and a split, I need to take that into account.
Yeah.
So what I did was I asked ChatGPT to create a split for me based on the workouts that I could do. And it created the perfect plan for me, which is working at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a swimmer, so I use a lot of AI to figure out my data, what my data is telling me about my stroke rate and things like that. So definitely in sport is an area that I'm using it as well. But Saeed, what about you? Any AI related projects or work outside of your role that you're using AI?
I think mainly with AI, I don't know if I mentioned previously, but there's predictive analytics. So assuming a trend is going to continue, essentially I'm quite into fitness, so running, playing football and things like that. And when you're running and doing these types of things, you're always pushing yourself, wanting to do a 5K in 25 minutes, something like that.
I would.
And so that's the type of thing that I'm looking into. So although you don't notice it, predictive analytics is something that ties into AI, and me just wanting to improve that time and expecting that time to continue if I do X, Y, Z is almost similar to that. So even though I don't notice it, if I sit back and just think to myself, how is AI playing a role in this? I can immediately see that there's actually some type of way it's embedded into my hobby, literally playing football and running or doing something like that. So I set myself targets and I check my Apple Watch or something. I just check those targets and I think to myself, if I've done a 5K in 28 minutes, if I continue at this rate, maybe in 2-3 weeks time I can do it in 27 minutes, 26 minutes. So it's all these things of just with data especially and AI and just calculating these things even in your head. I haven't quite obviously looked that much into it, but it's just sitting back now and thinking of how it applies into my hobbies. It's everywhere. It's surrounding us completely.
Yeah, and good luck with hitting the 25 minutes. I'm sure you can. Lawrence, similar. How are you using, your experience, your knowledge of AI in your personal life? Are you noticing similar? Are you noticing that that's just kind of happening now?
Definitely, there is a huge. Every company's in a race now to implement AI. So even apps that you're using at home started to integrate these kind of features. And I'd say definitely in terms of the fitness sense, I've been using artificial intelligence to analyze nutritional information, for example. But I also, I'm a full stack developer by trade. So I love, collaborating on open source projects at home. I'm also, something that's captivated my interest recently is automated trading. So again, predictive analysis on markets has been something that I'm programming at the moment, which has been an interesting endeavor.
Wow. Amazing hobbies you have outside of work as well. So we're coming to, sadly, near the end of our time, but I just wanted to bring us back to AI because we talked earlier about challenges or surprises that you've seen using AI in the workplace. But I just wanted to come to kind of key takeaways from your experience so far, maybe lessons learned in terms of using AI in the workplace. Lawrence, perhaps I can start with you in terms of, is there anything that stands out for you in terms of lessons learned or key takeaways from how you've been using AI so far?
Definitely, I would say a key takeaway with artificial intelligence and with any new technology is just making sure that we're learning from each other. I think that when you're pioneering a piece of technology, it's quite key to share share experiences on the internet. Again, all of these companies are investing so much money into artificial intelligence, but actually, if you take a step back and you look at, so-and-so's using AI this way, they're leveraging X, Y, and Z, and they've used it this way. Just ensuring you're learning from each other's mistakes is certainly a key takeaway when training models for the next time running. And the other key takeaway I would say definitely is just sharing and promoting AI hallucinations. Because again, as Saif and Ibrahim were mentioning, it's to do with data quality. And unfortunately, not all the data that's being fed into these AI pieces of kit is clean. And that leads to hallucinations where you're just going to be given a fact that's completely wrong. It's just communicating that to the user bases and ensuring that AI is used accurately and properly.
Yeah, I think on the hallucinations, we always come back to that point of people, kind of analyzing what it's telling you, that critical thinking, that ability to question, is this really the right answer as these technologies evolve? I
would also say as well that it's to do with ethics as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just releasing artificial intelligence to loads and loads of members of the public and stakeholders across companies, and it's taking a step back and making sure that it's being used ethically. You wouldn't want to ask an AI and say, what has Lawrence done this week? Is he worth renewing as a consultant? Because again, AI doesn't have that contextual analysis that we as humans have.
Yeah.
And it's just spreading that word.
Yeah.
Ethic.
Yeah. Back to context, right, Ibrahim?
Yeah.
Lessons learned or key takeaways so far for you?
I totally agree with Lawrence with the hallucinations. I think AI, of course, needs human oversight. And when it comes to the context, as I mentioned before, there's been situations where a user just trying to access their payslips has been blocked out from signing in because they're trying to do it from a different country. There's obviously ways to overcome that. And I think that's clear communication. So communicating to a user that, look, you've got to let us know when you're in a different country and trying to access so-and-so. So my key takeaway is that, of course, AI is the new thing. It's brilliant. We've all seen it. We've all used it. It's amazing. But it definitely has its cons in that we shouldn't be over-reliant on it. We human oversight is needed. It's necessary.
Yeah, so humans and AI working together is what we need to be focusing on.
Yeah.
Saif, key takeaway or lessons that you've learned so far?
Yeah, I think the main lesson I've learned is how widespread AI is. So it's not just relevant to the tech industry or companies that operate specifically with tech or through tech.
Yeah.
It's relevant to literally every department, every type of organization you could think of, even any company that's not tech-based. So, for example, you've got HR systems, you've got finance systems, different ERP systems. So you've got SAP one specifically, and within my company, there's a lot of plans to integrate AI into that to automate some of those processes because there's a system migration happening from the SAP version that's now moving to S4HANA, which is a new one. So I think, S4, I think it's S4 or something, SAP Fiori, but I think it's about understanding just how involved AI is in your everyday life as well. And it's diving into that and collecting all that information you can, because it's an industry that's going to continue to develop, and there's a lot of AI that's involved in your everyday life and you might not notice it. So like I mentioned previously with all the predictive analytics and things like that. So yeah, I think it's the main thing I've taken away is the fact that AI can be used by anyone, technical or non-technical, because it's at such a startup point. You can build your knowledge up on it. It's not something that requires years and years of experience. Everyone is new to it. So that's probably the main thing I've taken away. Just continue to learn and just continue to, as Lauren said earlier, immerse yourself in it. If you feel comfortable knowing that, again, there's risks, but it's there for the good.
Yeah, definitely becoming part of all of our everyday lives. So that's a really inspiring message to leave people with. I'm going to ask you for one more inspiring message, if that's all right, because we've come to our final question. And I want to know, for all the people who may be listening and thinking about a career in technology, a career in the tech sector, a career in AI, what advice would you give to aspiring apprentices looking to work in the tech sector and AI? So it's your opportunity to give back to the people that are kind of thinking, that sounds cool, I'd love to be doing that. So what piece of advice would you give them? Perhaps we'll start with Abraham and then we'll end at the other end. But
Sure.
What piece of advice inspire people? Go ahead.
I think embrace AI, look to learn as much as possible, and let every challenge be a step towards your success. I think it's important to stay ahead of the curve. We know tech is ever evolving. So the more you learn, the hungrier you are to learn, the more you will stay ahead of that curve. So I think it's important to just be eager to learn and get out there, get that experience.
I love that. Brilliant message. Lawrence?
Certainly, I would say embrace an open mindset and take every opportunity that you can get. And again, just if you do, learn from your mistakes, they're all opportunities to innovate yourself. And it's not long ago that we were in your footsteps. And I think that just utilize AI to learn something. The tools are all out there. And I think in this day and age, all of the information's free online. So it's just exploring that and using that to teach yourself as much as possible.
Really great message to give people. And Saif, closing thoughts from you?
I would say it's important to challenge yourself. AI, like almost all technologies, it's new to us. Like all technology was new back then, AI is something that's new now. I think a lot of people are frightened just by what it can achieve, but it could be you that makes that change. So challenge yourself because it's new to us, new to industry professionals as it's new to you. So there's no mistakes that you can really make. I mean, it's an open thing. So just go out there and try your best and challenge yourself and make a difference.
Yeah, brilliant messages of just be brave, embrace it, take the challenge and help it to move you forward. Well, look, Saif, Lawrence and Ibrahim, thank you so much for a brilliant conversation. Great to hear how you're already using AI, how it's already transforming your career in technology as you start that journey, what it could also be doing going forward and how we make sure that you guys can continue to use AI in your career, but also some really inspiring advice for those that are looking to start that career as well. So thank you so much for being with me today, but also good luck in your next steps. And I can't wait to see what you all do in technology and AI going forwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.